already.
Sorry, Bryce.
We did that.
You can sit here. It's gonna be serious. No, because they're in the land.
So I just still
So we have Jeff, Debbie, Mayor, myself. Yeah, Mayor. He was changing. Yeah.
good, where do you get this?
This is a local, mom and pop, they do the farmers market, they're from here, they're so good, right? They're from Hawaii.
This I think was a peanut butter. If you have like tomatoes or something. Wait till I get out of the way. Yeah. Here, what was the pink flavor? What's the pink flavor?
It had a Hawaiian name.
Okay.
What kind of flavor is it? I do.
I'm sure you'll hear too much from me about all that stuff here.
All right. I'd like to welcome everyone here this afternoon. And we just got back from Utah Lake, started Otero Way. It's hot over there. We're going to move forward. Our first presentation today is item number 2, City of Orem's mental health programs and activities, introduction of a community care program. And I'd like to go ahead and start. We've got Cameron Wilson, Kim Matthews, and Utah County Health Department.
Y'all cooled down yet?
Yes.
I couldn't believe you guys went out there, it was so hot, so. Well, thank you for joining, thank you for letting us come today. I know that we had, the health department came several months ago and talked about children's mental health here in Orem, and I know there was some concern about that, and so Brent asked us to present on some of the things that we have been doing to help children and adults in our community with their mental health. And then there's a new program that we are wanting to start called Communities in Care that we wanted to introduce, that we want to move forward with. So we're going to kind of team this today. So we're going to start with Cameron Wilson and Officer Hallam from our police department. They're going to talk about our mental health response team in the police department. I will then talk about our Everyday Strong program, and we'll end with our health department people, Raquel and Megan. And then Jessica is the Vineyard Cares Director for Vineyard, so she's here as well to maybe talk to you as well. So we'll turn the time over to you two first.
Okay, so yeah, like Kenna said, you're looking at 2/3 of our mental health response team over at the police department. We have Detective Lanes that's on family leave. She just had a baby not too long ago. But yeah, she's our completing piece. So yes, that's us 3.
So we'll just talk a little bit about what we do. We could spend hours up here talking all day about what we do as our mental health team. So we just try to break it down so we can keep it in a 15-minute window for you. So initially, respond to active police calls for service involving mental health crisis. So that's not just us as a mental health team, that's all of our patrol units. They're gonna be the ones on the ground, taking the initial call, making the initial contact with anybody in whatever crisis they're in. Nowadays, that crisis can look like all sorts of different things, and we'll talk about that a little bit more too. If we're available, then Cameron and I will go out and take those calls initially if that's something that we're able to do. If not, the majority of what we do is following up with these individuals. So patrol will take that call, give us a report, let us know what happened. Cameron and I and Detective Lanes will make contact later on, whether that's the next day, the next week, whatever time frame that looks like. And so what we're trying to do is reach out to these individuals and get them in touch with resources, whatever resource that may be. Cameron has a sweet spreadsheet that we can text them information really fast, and try to get these guys lined up with whatever resource that looks like for whatever help they need, whether it's mental health and they need to talk to a therapist, or it's just getting in touch with something else. So we'll talk more about some of our resources that continually is expanding. We're constantly finding new people to work with in companies.
Can I ask you a question? When my family's had some depression, whatever, it took me months to find therapists. So do you have certain therapists that will take people on an emergency basis, or are they waiting in the queue like everyone else?
We will get them, one of the biggest ones we work with right off is Wasatch Behavioral, because there's no cost to the consumer for that. That's something we can get them lined up in. We'll talk more about Bristol Health, they just opened an urgent care. It's an evening hour thing, I think they run from 5 to 10, to where it's more of an emergency base. Let's not go to the hospital, let's go here because they're designed to get you mental health treatment right away and be less expensive versus big expensive emergency room. A lot of it's just finding the right person for the right individual. Sometimes there is a wait, but we're trying to get them up front, and then you can kind of diversify from there once you get some resources started anyways.
And we do have a lot of connections with specific providers here in the area. So a lot of times if I'll call, we've been to their board meetings, we go out to lunch, they help us at CIT, they know us. So if I call and say, hey, I have this case, this can't wait a week or two, this person needs to be seen, they're usually really good about keeping that tight relationship and making those urgent calls a priority. So yeah, we usually can fit a timeline quite well with an individual that has an urgent need.
Training, so we do a lot of our department training. We just talked about CIT, it's a crisis intervention team. It's a 40-hour training course that not just Orem, but all agencies will send their patrol officers through, so that we can get them trained on learning how to communicate with individuals in crisis, learning how to identify a crisis and what that may look like, because they're all a little bit different for all of us. And then through our training courses, we train at least monthly with patrol, and so every once in a while when they need us to, we'll come up and present similar stuff, whatever's a current trend or whatever we may need additional help with. We'll go to all these training courses. I make it a point to try to get to briefings just at the beginning of shifts, just to be available, see what kind of stuff we have going on, and to be available for our staff too. So we are doing a lot of training with that. Langs and I are both part of the, what you used to call hostage negotiation, it's now crisis negotiation. So outside of even these things, we're getting continual training to help people in a crisis mode and better interact with them.
Real quick, Orem Police Department, I don't know if any of you are familiar with other police departments, but Orem trains a lot. We train a lot and we train hard. So we're constantly looking at, hey, we're having some issues with this, or this, or we'll get feedback from the hospital. It says, hey, we had a couple issues with this and this month. Could you guys brush over that? And because we do train, these officers are getting a full training day at least once a month. And often it's more than that. So we do train a lot. And then we run all of the CIT for all of the departments in the area. And I don't know if Lieutenant Jameson, I'm sure that most of you are familiar with him, but he kind of spearheaded that, and we have been able to take the torch essentially. But I think we just checked, since Orem has started running the CIT Metro for this area, we've trained over 700 law enforcement officers on crisis intervention. So it's an awesome program. I would encourage anybody that wants to go through it to go through it. I went through it right when I started, and it's a great program. It's good to know. If you ever want to know what we're training on that side, please feel free. You're more than welcome. But we do train a lot, and we like it.
And we learn something new every time. I've been through CIT 3 times now. Some people are like, oh, 40 hours CIT. I learn something new every time I go, which helps us in our field and what we do. So we take it serious. And it's not up to Cameron and I and Detective Lanks to hold our resources together and be that, like, we're the main contact, right? But our patrol guys, they go through these courses too, so that they're interacting as well, not only for the consumers, but for our resources. They're keeping that alive with us. And then we'll just fine tune it if we have to. So I won't talk too much about the last 2, about the resources and homeless population, because we're going to get to that, as well as what we do with the community. Those are going to come a little bit further, so I won't touch on those so much. These are some of the stats from last fiscal year. We can break these down however you want. We can skew them however you want. Stats can go one way or the other. So this will just be stats by me, what I think. But you can see 900 calls for service where a specific mental health crisis was occurring or had occurred. So what is a crisis? That's different for all of us. We all have and deal with crisis different. whether it's a mental health issue that we have, whether it's family and we're dealing with our autistic child, or somebody in the family, or whether that's you just lost your job, you don't know what to do, you're at a breaking point, on and on and on. So these aren't specific, hey, we had a mental health problem. But what call don't we go to that doesn't have a mental health problem? Most of what we do nowadays deals with some sort of a mental health crisis. They're just different. 350 calls involving suicide threats and 115 with attempts. Again, what does that look like? Is that me? Cameron just broke up with me. I'm like, well, I'm gonna go kill myself. Or don't leave me or I'll kill myself, right? There's a threat. Now she calls us, we're involved because a threat was made. Not saying that all threats aren't valid, because they are, and we treat them as valid and we take them serious. Are other threats more serious and more valid? Yes. Some are attention seeking, some are real. Because what do you do when you go to crisis? I'm done, life's over, I'm in. And then the attempts, we've had successful things, which are heartbreaking for everybody. I mean, a suicide is heartbreaking for the community. It doesn't end with that act. 2/3 of what we deal with live in Orem. Even the ones that, when we pull cases, I pull cases, this is last couple of weeks. By pull cases, I mean, I'm just going through what patrol has done and seeing what we need to do. Even if they live outside of Orem, we're still calling a lot of these individuals to follow up with them and offer them resources. Why? Because I know none of the other agencies are. So it doesn't just stop, let the majority live here. Psychosis behavior, 400 incidents involving mental health crisis. Again, break that down however we want. What we're seeing is there are a lot of individuals suffering from some sort of mental health crisis, and that's what we're responding to. Right at CIT, about 2 weeks ago, we're in Provo Behavioral Health Hospital, and they needed us to come and handle an incident. So even the care centers are calling us. We're the ones that call the crisis lines. They call us, which is why we do all that training, so that we can go appropriately handle all of these cases that we're having. 100 calls for service involved, an individual who was developmentally delayed. So we have a lot of autism in town. We have a lot of elderly individuals with dementia. We go on those. We try to get them resources as well. Cameron will talk more about the autism side of things. Autism, I cry when I talk about it, so I'm going to stop right there. Those kids are awesome. And we help the transient population. So 150 calls for service involving transient populations. Just the other day, Cameron and I were out doing some follow-up on some things, and we see a guy on the road. Guess who doesn't get to drive by? Yeah, not this guy. Cameron's like, hey, we're stopping. So we stopped. We gave them resources. I carry hygiene kits in my car. We got blankets. We just purchased a whole bunch more of supplies for the homeless, sleeping bags, things like that. So always out and about helping.
Questions about any of that so far? Will we do any of those stats? I know it's a lot of numbers to throw out. Just internalize.
As far as mental health and psychosis, is that the crossover on those two?
Yeah, so the psychotic behavior one down there, we track behavior that's like extremely aggressive or abnormal. So it's not just a call of like, hey, I'm feeling depressed. I think I'm thinking about killing myself, something like that. We're talking like extreme psychosis, seeing things, running into neighbors, like anyway, things like that. So we track extreme psychotic behavior. So that's that bottom one down there. We do see a lot of that, and you can understand why maybe police would be needed at something like that. So,
and some of it is drug induced as well. Yeah. So we get a lot of individuals experimenting for the first time, or their supplier is now lacing it with something that did them right last time, and now it just goofed them up. So it's hard to break it down to decipher if that's drug induced or not. So it's kind of one lump sum, but that's what we're going to. And regardless, we're still getting those people some help.
to answer your question.
Just curious that the suicide threats attempts, does that 350 include the 115, or is the 115 in addition to?
We separate them. So if an officer shows up on a call and they've said, hey, or they have tried to take their own life, it shows up as an attempt. If they have just mentioned it, it's separate. So altogether would be that number.
So 465.
And I will say most of this is likely underreported because we keep our own stats. Like Helen mentioned, we pull cases. So 2-3 times a week, we'll go through every case that patrol has taken that has some mental aspect. There's codes that they can tag it with. So whatever the patrol officers tag as mental comes to our caseload, and we get to sift through it all and try and figure out where we can help and where we can't. So if we accidentally miss a tag, if there's duplicate cases, etc., you'll have some things that fall through the cracks. But we do all of our own tracking for grants and other purposes, and just to know kind of what the city's going through mental health wise.
So your regular officers are dealing with most of that, but then you're plugging in wherever you can add value. Kind of thing.
Yeah, occasionally they'll call and say, hey, are one of you guys here, come out with us on this, or we'll see an individual that I deal with often, and I can call dispatch and say, oh, I'll take that one. I know she's down in the lobby. I've dealt with her X amount of times in the last couple weeks. I'll just go take it. But yeah, I would say a majority of it is on our officers as that first wave of responding, and then we can try and intervene and hopefully take the police involvement down in the future.
So do you have enough resources to buy those, the stuff you need for those
For the
individuals?
homeless kids.
Yeah.
There's a lot, yeah.
Ken has been really helpful. Thank you for letting us steal her, by the way. We love her. I cherish her. She has been really great about the grants that we've gotten. She was really involved in that before, and having her with us has been really awesome. In fact, just the other day, we passed our deadline for a grant just by a couple days. And I came into her office and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't spend the last $500 and we needed it and I need sleep. And she's like, I'll do it. It's okay. It's all right. And we went and bought a bunch of sleeping bags. So we do have grants coming in for things like that. So many people donate things for homeless supplies. We are up to our ears in blankets. So Christmas time is also a really great time. Ken is great about organizing the drives and things like that.
We did have one of our sweet little elementaries over in Vineyard. They did their penny drive.
Pennies
wars,
on the,
penny wars. So they competed grade levels against each other to see who could raise the most money. And their sweet little student council chose homeless people to donate all of their funds to. So they raised $5,000.
$4,800.
$4,800 this little elementary school with their pennies. And so through Kenna, who is an awesome resource to you guys more, really, like this should be praise Kenna.
Yes.
Agreed. But our sweet little elementary school council, they donated, and we sent it to you guys over here in Orem because of the crisis intervention.
Yeah.
We really, it's a really awesome service.
And that money allowed us to do more things than we would be through CDBG, because it's not as limited, so
Yeah.
we're able to do more things with it. So Brandon set up an account with us, we're able to use that account as well.
But yes, to answer your question, right now, as it is, we have plenty of resources and money to do what we need. And I'll jump into that kind of what we provide in just a second. I get everybody else? Okay. So our special projects, because of the nature of this team, our mental health unit, we're the only ones in Utah County that have a mental health unit, by the way, which is awesome. Also crazy. Every once in a while, I'll see a case or talk to somebody from Provo. I'm like, how do you do this if you don't have a mental health unit? But we are busy all the time. But because of the unique nature of having a mental health unit, we get a lot of leeway is not quite the right word, but kind of. When we see a need, we can fill it. So we've come up with a couple things that we've deemed like special projects. So the first one is our mental health response plan. It's a proactive approach. So let's say, like, for example, Hallam's got a daughter with autism, and he could scan our little QR code and send in some information about her. Hey, here are some of her triggers. Here are things to avoid. If she was approached by a police officer, it would probably go poorly if this happened. Fill out all the emergency information, her medications, things like that. It comes to me, and we add it into our system for our officers to use. So now when they go to respond to a call at this address, they can see that there's an alert, and they can go in and look at all of that information. So it gives parents a lot of times a peace of mind, just knowing that they're going to know that information before they show up. And it's a little more proactive instead of reactive. And we can use it for a lot of other things. A lot of times, people with dementia, like younger kids will fill it out for their older parents that are aging to try and, bridge that gap a little bit. But we get really great responses with that. That's on our website. We just finished our second annual picnic with police. And when I started a couple years ago, I noticed we had a couple cases where even just on standard traffic stops, you'd have maybe a child with autism in the car. And just the police presence was nerve-wracking and caused incredible overstimulation for that child with autism. And I turned to Annalise, I'm like, can we do something about this? She goes, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know. I want to put them out there and make them play games and serve ice cream. And she goes, okay. And I ran it up the chain and I got all the thumbs up from all of the administration. And we had our first annual one, not this most recent April, but the year before. So we had a great turnout, way more than we thought we were going to have. And we just had uniformed officers there to try and alleviate some of that tension between both groups. I think a lot of officers also feel like they don't necessarily know what to do a lot of times with that. And the best training you're going to get is just being around individuals that have that particular disability. So it was a great success. Last year in April, we had over 1,200 people attend, which was crazy and so fun and so good. So we're excited for next April to just do it again. So it was a great event. And then our homeless resources. We talked a little bit about this, but yeah, all of our officers will carry hygiene kits, snack bags, water, and then homeless resources. Hey, you can go to food and care and get a shower. This food and care will give you a voucher to do XYZ, you know. So we would like to think they're pretty well versed, and if they miss it on their first go around, we're there to help bridge that gap too. So some of our special projects there.
On the autism side too, we carry sensory bags in our vehicles in case we come across a child who might need it. And then with our response plan too, we have photos of these individuals. We have a spreadsheet for our nonverbal individuals. We can locate them, pull the spreadsheet, find them, click their name, number, know where to take them. Right back home.
There's a question about any of that? And then CDBG, we touched on this just a little bit too, but this is kind of what we've used our CDBG money for historically. We get our hotel stays, a lot of that money, especially the vineyard money. We did our point in time head count and located several families that were living in cars, had young kids, things like that. So we were able to put them up in hotels, usually for an X amount of days before they start a lease or patch them into a program where they can get into some sort of shelter. But we do that quite often. It's usually people that are actively trying to get out of their homelessness. We do have a lot in this area that are perfectly content being homeless and prefer to be homeless. We still offer resources. I usually get stood up for those meetings, but it's okay. But yeah, there's also an addiction part to it. As unfortunate as that is, we do see that quite often. The CDBG money goes to those homeless supplies that we talked about before. And then you want to talk about our substance stuff?
So we helped 3 families last Christmas. We're just talking about it with Cameron. I can't remember all 3 families. I know one family is like a grandma who was basically adopted all her grandchildren and was raising all of them. The other one, I get teary-eyed. Sorry, I'm a crier, guys. Don't tell my wife. She knows. Is this a safe place? It's sad. I have to stop this. So we recorded. This is.
I'm gonna go watch it back.
It's horrible. There's cops back there too. So the Sabala family, they have a 14-year-old boy named Christian, always going to his house. Super strong kid, looks like he's 18, big kid. All sorts of delays and disabilities. So this family, finally, we helped a little bit. They finally got him into a care center in West Valley, stabilized, he's doing very well. But this family also brought in 2 little kids. So here's a Hispanic family. The dad owns a lawn care business, runs it successfully. Family members lost the mom to domestic violence. Guys in jail. So 2 little kids lost their parents on the same day. This family, their family, they took them in. Right? They have 4 kids of their own, living in a 3-bedroom apartment. I think it's 3, it might be 2. They brought them in, adopted them. So we took it Christmas. Cause I mean, that's what we do. We're not out to be bad guys. But without us, they didn't have Christmas. So. That's what we do. That's why we're on a mental health team. I did 3 years of mental health in the prison. Thought I was done. Because that was enough. Apparently not. Some of the guys make fun of me off record, right? Cop talk. Oh, you're just with your people now. Maybe I got some issues. But that's what we do. That's why we do it. There's a lot more behind it than just cop work. There's a passion. Cameron's like, never seen so much passion from somebody with what we do. She keeps me young too.
I'm sure some days it's
So-
not phrased as nicely as that,
There's our contact information. Those are our desk numbers. If you have any questions, reach out, our emails. We're always happy to help answer questions. If you got family members, you don't know what to do with them, questions, because a lot of times they don't know what to do. Lifeline.
And I'm sure you guys get a lot of that. Hey, there's somebody on the street corner and what can I do for, send them our way. We're happy to help. We're here all the time, so.
What, since this is a public meeting, what is the best way to contact you? I mean,
You can shoot me an email, you can call in and say, hey, I want to
but
talk
I
to
mean, is
somebody.
there a process? It should go through the police department, it should go directly to you guys?
It kind of depends. If it's an emergency situation or there's like maybe one of those psychotic behavior elements to it, for sure, call 911, get an officer out there immediately. But if it's like, hey, I have a brother who's starting to this or this or this, you can call in either to just the generic non-emergency line and say, I'd like to speak to somebody from the mental health unit. You can call or email us there.
Those two
So
numbers
you
go,
are open for that, you're.
Yeah, of course, for sure.
and if we're not at the desk, like I try to go out in the community a lot, so if I'm not at the desk, leave a message, trigger to my email and get it, and we'll get back to you.
But yes, for sure, any questions you have, the beauty of this is that it doesn't have to be criminal. We've made contact with that gentleman out there that's usually out in the breezeway handful of times. No criminal element, he's just a guy reading a book with no shoes on, lives in a garage. So
But we
we're happy to
learn
help.
something new every time, right? We
Yeah.
just got him a resource that could potentially help with his foot problem that he has, that we hadn't discovered prior.
And there's so many
Hopefully he'll
resources here.
make that call.
So many resources here, so we're happy to patch people through to whatever we can, so. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Oh, I'm gonna leave you with, speaking of community events, I'm gonna leave you with a little flyer for our national night out. You're all more than invited. It's just like a big police party. Giles has been great about all of this, and Kenna, you have a chopper and a rock wall and face paint, so right up your alley, right? Great people, aren't they?
Yeah, so much fun. Situation, we have a mental health unit here in our department. It's a great opportunity. There's so much need in the community to have them be able to have these resources has been great. I'm going to tell you a little bit about another program that we've been doing. It's called Everyday Strong. It's an initiative that we've been doing for a little while. It's a United Way program, so you have a handbook in front of you. But it's a new approach to anxiety and depression in children by building resilience within children. They said that one thing that a child needs is one caring adult in their life. And if they have one caring adult in their life, they can thrive. And so that's kind of what the whole idea of Everyday Strong is to provide resilience through safety, connection, and confidence. It's based on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So if you look in your, these are different than they were before. So, but if you look in here, you can kind of see, first of all, a child kind of needs their basic needs met, right? So if a child is acting out, you're kind of like, why is this child acting out? The child might be tired, they might be hungry, they might be all of those things. So once those physical needs are met, then a child also needs to feel safe, connected, and confident. And that's what Everyday Strong is about, is getting adults to look at children in a different way, youth in a different way to help them thrive. So if a child can feel safe, they feel safe to talk, they feel safe in their environment, they feel safe, that helps them thrive. If they feel confident in themselves, if they feel confident in what they're doing, that helps them thrive. They feel connected, and that's where that piece of having that caring adult in their life. And so this has been a really important program. I think we started in 2019. Went through COVID, we went through all of this, and it's still going. So that's a really good thing. But kind of some of our Everyday Strong resources, or Everyday Strong has some resources. They have a really great social media. So United Way has an Everyday Strong Facebook page, they have an Instagram page. They post great ideas and things in these different areas to help parents, help adults and kids' lives do certain things in these areas. They have a new podcast they've been doing for about a year, a little over a year. They talk to therapists, things like that. They also have a texting program. So if you join their texting program, they'll text you ideas in these areas. We do trainings, education, and partnerships. So we do trainings in schools. They help do training in schools, trainings in community, different partnerships. We partner with CTC, Communities that Care, that kind of thing. They do the handbooks, they have videos. They're coming out with a new handbook about questions you can ask teens in these areas when they're having issues. And then they do events and activities as well in the community. So we, like I said, we started in 2019. This was Bren's brainchild. And we were the first Everyday Strong city, I will say that till the end, in Utah. So we were the first city to join with United Way to be an Everyday Strong city. There are now other Everyday Strong cities, but we were still the first. So but some of the things that we have done with Everyday Strong is we trained, when we first started the program, we trained all full-time employees, either online or in person. So they even had to take a test to show that they had been trained. Everyone has received handbooks. All the employees have received handbooks. And right now we're putting ideas and things into Walter, our internal Facebook, as we call it, and in our newsletter. And then we do the United Way campaign every year, which is coming up on August 14th. So we'll be kicking that off, and we always try to do an Everyday Strong component in that as well. We've also done trainings for parents in English and Spanish, online and in person, in most of our target schools. We've given free handbooks out in English and Spanish. I actually ran out of these finally, Brent. They had to bring me some today to give to you. So finally, we bought a lot of these and now we're out of them. So we've given out a lot of handbooks. And we do social media updates. So our target schools, we send social media updates for their parent emails and newsletters. And we do information boosts at back to school nights, activities, things like that. And we give out these pamphlets. They've become very popular lately for some reason. That's why we're out of them. And in the community, we've done trainings. We did one in Orem High. We've done other trainings. We did one at Center Point Church in English and Spanish. We give out these free handbooks. Like we said, we do social media updates in the city newsletter. Some of the people don't like us telling us how to raise their kids, but that's okay. We still do it. And then we did postcards with Timpanogos Hospital and Orem Community Hospital. They were putting postcards in their new baby kits when a baby was born, when a new baby, they were in that. We did that when we first started. We sent information to all Orem pediatricians about this program. And then we just do a lot of information at like Oremfest, things like that, to get this program out. So that's what we've been doing, and we continue to do it. We continue to look at ways they've grown. United Way's program has grown, and we've grown within the program, and we're still holding strong. But the goal is to just have connection with children, look at children differently, because children are struggling here, and oftentimes, you want to ground them, but maybe they just need a little bit of love. So that's what we've been doing here in the city of Orem with the Everyday Strong program. So if you want to look at their Facebook page, or this is their website as well. Now I'm going to turn the time over to our, you had any questions you asked me to. Now I'm going to turn the time over to our great people from the Utah County Health Department and the New Year Cares program. We're going to talk to you about a great program. It's called Communities that Care. Several of the local communities have these programs, and it's something that I wanted to do for a while. And I know that it's an important piece in helping to prevent some of the things that are happening in our community so kids can thrive. So I'll turn the time over to Mikkel and she will present on that.
Jessica was just telling us how she does story time with kids, and she's like, we clap all the time, we should clap more. I think so too. If we had kids here, it would be way more exciting. Okay, just to make sure I'm good with time. I'm 15 minutes. 15 minutes is still good. Am I what's keeping us?
Sorry, are you the last?
Yeah, I'm the last one.
You should be fine.
Am I the one that's keeping us? Am I the one being between food?
You are.
Okay, I'll be good on my time then. Okay, well, so.
15 minutes would be good. We've still got another 15 and another 5 minutes of food, so.
Perfect, okay, sorry, so I'm not the one, so it sounds like I can keep going. Okay, well, just to give you a quick introduction to myself, my name is Mikkel Osland. I work for the Utah County Health Department as a prevention specialist in substance misuse prevention. And I am also a Communities That Care coach. I help support our 7 coalitions, our local coalitions here. My co-coach too is Megan over here, and then you met Jessica. Jessica is our vineyard coordinator for the Communities That Care in that city. And so we have quite a few, some of the coalitions that have been around here long-term, Payson and Eagle Mountain and Saratoga, they've been around for 10 years plus. So it's been around this program, this process has been around. And so with that in mind, let's see, is this, oh, there we go, nice. Okay, I'm gonna use this laptop. So Communities That Care, it's all about community connection. And I loved hearing what Orem is doing, what the Orem PD is doing, what we're doing around mental health and things, because that's something that we really care about. We care about our youth, we care about our mental health. We want to find ways to benefit our youth. And I feel like I have a big stake in Orem as well as my family is here. I have 4 sisters under the age of 21. The youngest just started at Orem Junior, so she's really excited in that awkward stage, and I love her so much. And just thinking about the ways that to support my sisters, to support the community around them and their peers is also really important to me. And so it's really exciting to be chatting with you all today. So again, everything, it comes down to our youth. We're impacting our youth's futures more than we think. Maybe you already know that, whether it's policy, whether it's the resources that we're providing, we are impacting the types of adults that they are going to become. And which leads to the question, what type of youth do we want in our community? What kind of adults do we want to share with our community when they get older? And that's the question that we ask a lot of our CTCs and coalitions. What are the barriers that are preventing our youth from getting to those places that we want for them or that they want for themselves? Which leads into CTC. What is CTC? In a nutshell, if I was to give you like 1-2 sentences, CTC is the process of creating a community coalition. You're gathering people from all these different groups, demographics, organizations, all together for a common purpose, and that is to support our youth in our community. And so, sorry, some of it got a little bit, the format got a little bit jumbled when I moved it to Google Slides, so I apologize. But we do have we have our structure, we have our community board, and that community board is made up of members from this community. Because this is a community-driven coalition. We want this community to have all the feedback. We want them to be the decision makers in their community. And so we have them. We also have our key leaders who are kind of our foundation, some of those foundational supports of the community board. We have our executive board or committee that supports our facilitator, coordinator, and then they break up into work groups, they get stuff done. We'll go into like what they actually do, but yeah, our facilitator is one of those positions. Every coalition that has this structure and has a coordinator that helps guide these coalitions through a process. And that process, we call them the 5 phases. And this is, it is circular. It's circular because we go through it, it's a cycle. We go through it multiple times. Everything that this coalition does is based in science. And again, it is community driven. And so our first phase is getting started. That would be a lot of we have 3 new CTCs as of last year that whole went through this process of getting kind of those foundational supporters of CTC in their community. The second phase is getting organized. So developing that key leader or that community board, who are those boots on the ground people, who are those what do they call those movers and the shakers? Those are who we want on our coalition. And then phase 3 is one of the most important phases, in my opinion, because this is the phase where we look at the resources in our community. We look at where the gaps are. We look at what our community is good at, and we do that whole needs assessment. And then the next phase is finding a plan. Okay, based on our gaps, how can we fill these gaps? These getting this feedback from the PD. The mental health feedback is really good for a coalition like this, where they're like, okay, we're getting a lot of mental health calls. It's like it was the highest call volume of mental health calls. And so it's okay, how can we better support our community in mental health services? And where can we support and what can we support to what's already happening in our community as well? And then number 5 is implementing and evaluating those programs, because we want to make sure that anything that our community coalition is supporting is not only we want it to be time effective, we want to be using our funding effectively and our resources. Not only that, but we don't want to cause harm to our youth. Prevention has a long history and we found out a lot of things that work and a lot of things that don't work. Come to find out that just telling our kids to say no to drugs doesn't work. We learned that the hard way. If you don't know that, we should chat and we can talk about ways that do work that we can get our kids to not use drugs. But just saying no doesn't work, and so we want to make sure that our programs are doing what they say they do. And they're not just programs, but they're also policies and practices, different things that this coalition does to support their community youth. It's founded on these three things, and I'm going to focus on just one of them today, which is the first one: prevention, science, and risk protective factors. I feel like I could talk all day about this. This is my favorite topic, though, I will say. Social development strategy, so great, love it. If you get a chance, learn about it. I will say one note on tested and effective programs, policies, and practices. Again, we just don't want to do any harm, and we don't want to waste our resources. And that's so anything that coalitions do, that CTCs do, need to be founded in that science-based prevention. With risk factors, and Megan, would you mind passing out? I was gonna hand this out earlier, but I didn't want to confuse anybody because it's a lot. Also, didn't print enough. Wasn't expecting a big audience, so here we are. I have 15 copies. Please share if you wouldn't mind. But I just wanted to talk a second about risk and protective factors. This is really literally this is what we found all of our data on. Talking about risk and protective factors. Risk factors, these are, the more risk factors a child has, the more likely they are to engage in problem behaviors. They are found in every domain of a child's life, whether that's school, community, home, here within their peer groups. It's present across development. They can predict multiple problems, and they operate similarly across racial groups and regions. They vary across communities, and they are buffered by protective factors, and they can be measured. This is
the science of risk and protective factors is why communities that cares can work in so many different communities, because every community is using their own data to solve their own problems. All communities have the capacity to solve their problems. I 100% believe that. It's just getting them the right tools and the right information to be able to fill those holes and those gaps. So on the handout that you were just given, it looks something like this, but maybe a little bit less colorful. Sorry, black and white printer. So what we have on the left, we have our community, we have our different domains that, again, risk factors can impact every domain of a child's life. So community, family, school, peer, individual. In this first column, we have our risk factors. And then on that top row, we have our problem behaviors. The more risk factors a child has, the more likely they are to engage in that problem behavior. Every one of these dots represents a longitudinal study that shows that this risk factor is associated with this problem behavior. So if there's a kid let's give lack of commitment to school, for example, if there's a child that has that risk factor, they are at risk for substance use, delinquency, teen pregnancy, school drugs, and violence, and depression and anxiety. That's one risk factor. Again, not just because they have that risk factor doesn't guarantee that they're going to have that problem behavior. We know a lot of kids who are very resilient, who have some of these risk factors, who are able to withstand those and not fall into these unhealthy behaviors or problem behaviors. So I just wanted to throw that out there. This is what the coalition would use. They would find the highest risk factors in their community, whether that was lack of school, a commitment to school, maybe it's friends engaging in problem behaviors, maybe it's family conflict or availability of drugs, whatever that is. They're going to be focusing on our community, on Orem's risk factors that are targeting their youth, and figure out how to better support them. Are there any questions with that? That was a lot to take in, and I'm going through this kind of fast. Okay, you're like, come on, I'm hungry. Okay, so the next one is protective factors. And protective factors, these buffer against the risk factors. There are so many, our youth are faced with so many risk factors. What kind of protections do we have in place to buffer those? And so on the flip side of your sheet, I'm not going to go through this as thoroughly. It's the same. Every dot represents some longitudinal study that shows that there's an association. But just so you know, these are the types of protective factors that exist that our coalitions are trying to increase. We want to increase those protective factors and buffer against those risk factors in their communities. Just so you know, something kind of interesting, Utah County's highest risk factor is low commitment to school. It's something that a lot of our communities are all dealing with. Low commitment to school, and then depressive symptoms. Depressive symptoms is the second highest. As far as protective factors go, the highest protective factor for Utah County is opportunities for pro-social involvement and family attachment. So we're doing great. We're doing great. We're always looking to improve. Just so you know, this is what our coalition is based on. Is this science and the science of risk and protective factors. So how do we know it works? So this is, again, I'm going to summarize. I could give you guys research briefs, but I don't think that anyone wants those. I don't know who reads those. Just kidding. I have, I'll admit, but I don't recommend they're long. So there are research briefs on this, but to give you a summary of kind of the research behind it. So there was a large randomized controlled study done by the University of Washington that followed young people from 5th grade to adulthood. This study, they've been around since the 90s, and this particular study, so it was done with 2,400 participants in 5th grade, 24 communities across 7 states. And they had their 12 communities that were doing CTC and 12 that were not. And they ended up comparing the two. And the results that they got were that youth in the CTC communities were less likely to initiate the use of tobacco, the use of alcohol, and participating in delinquent behaviors, which is huge for us and what we care about for our youth. Through the age, so they actually followed these kids into adulthood. I actually know someone who is still a participant on the study who is now, an adult who actually works in prevention, which was kind of cool. But they found that those adults are less likely to initiate drug use, antisocial behaviors, and violence. So again, thinking about the kind of the future that we want for our community, the future that we want for our youth, these were big things. And this is why at least my team is so passionate about communities that care. That's my son, you're taking too long to go. Okay. Just briefly, coalitions go through milestones and benchmarks, everything that they do. The only person that was missing from that organizational chart that I showed you in the beginning was the support coach, which is me. So I help our communities go through those cycles and just make sure that we're using our funding appropriately and our resources, and we're going through the system to fidelity. In the perfect world, this is what the first year would look like. And so the idea is that by the end of the year, you would have created a plan to target those gaps in your community. This is some of the stuff that some of our coalitions have done, providing information, providing support, enhancing skills. So we have different campaigns that we promote. A lot of them have promoted classes, drop boxes, safe medication use, coping skills. Red Ribbon Week is a big thing in schools, and so we talk about how can we implement Red Ribbon Week to use a little bit more prevention science into it. And then Jessica, did you want to share just a little bit?
I just want to share a little bit. Does anyone have any questions about anything that I'll just present to you? Yes.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
We'll have to make this last part quick, so we got.
Yes, yeah, that's okay.
But my question is so you've gone through and described this whole process. And you talked to the county health department, right?
Yes, yeah.
So are you offering this to all the communities, like
We
Orem,
are.
Provo, or is this something you're going to have the county health department, or is this something you're trying to set up within the cities?
This is something,
I'll explain. Do you want, it's
yeah,
on my
do you want-
notes? That
yeah, I
was
was gonna say,
gonna
gives you a partnership.
Yes, so Vineyard City has hired me, so I'm an employee of the city of Vineyard. Lehigh Police Department has hired a CTC coordinator, so they are an employee of the police department. So kind of as a city, you can choose where to house your coalition, where to house your coalition coordinator. And then the funding comes through state funding managed by Utah County Health Department. So we would have to defer to Heather. Unfortunately, she has a terrible eye infection and she could not be convinced. We tried, we were like, just do the eye patch, Heather, it'll be fine. And she refused. I don't know why, but she refused. Obviously, she doesn't play pirate at sword. Anyway, so it would be, so Utah County manages the funds, the grant funds, and then the city, the coalition and the coalition coordinator can use the funds at their discretion. The coalition, unfortunately, is not a bank. That is the thing that Nicole was talking about, where we have to use our risk and protective factors. We have to use our social development strategy, which is our second pillar. And then we also must use evidence-based programs, policies, and procedures.
And just to add on to that, the county usually matches with the city a certain amount of funding. And then from there, I think it differs through the years, but I'll let Heather, more specific contract
What
questions.
Heather said is that the county will cover the first year of costs. And then the second year, the city has to match 10,000 of the costs. So there would be 1 year that they pay for everything to see if we like it, see if it's working for us. In the second year, and Brenda and I talked about this, you know, there would be a match in the second year, but the first year it's also covered by the county.
For somebody that's their main job at the city, or are they doing other things too? Or?
So we've created a job description that's been approved for a part-time employee. that would be, they would be housed under me in the police department, and we would start this coalition with,
Yeah, as you build out this.
yeah, as we build out that.
Yep.
If I can add a little additional background and context, so over the last handful of years, we've had different people come to this meeting sharing different statistics. And a lot of those have been related to mental health, and I've heard from you, questions that say, well, what do we do, and how can we be a part of the solution of this, what can we do moving forward? So wanted you to be aware then of the different efforts we're already engaged in, and some of the ways that we are already a leader in helping to improve, I guess, the mental health of our community and align with your area of focus of creating safe, connected, engaged neighborhoods. And then this grant opportunity is an additional opportunity. So we continue to be a leader in
I want to say, do you want to be the Orem/Vineyard? I will.
Told her I was still here.
I know. I will not say no, but I will say my priorities lie at first with my children at home. And so I can only handle one part-time position, one outside of the home part-time position at this time. But I would love to partner heavily, because our buy-in to your community is our schools. Vineyard does not have junior highs. Vineyard does not have a high school. All of our junior high and high school children, youth, teens, adolescents, are coming to Orem for their schooling. And there are just so many problems and so many issues that the youth are facing that even I didn't face. I feel like I'm not that far out of high school, but I am. But it's just all of these new issues, and we need to figure out how to adapt and how to help them into a healthy adulthood, right? We want healthy adults. We're not raising kids, we're raising adults, really. And CTC is a way that you can implement within the community to support the programs that are already existing, to support the mental health unit at the police department, but also maybe address and fill some gaps. Maybe we can address these kids in middle school and high school so that they don't have psychotic behavior, so they don't take the drugs that are laced with fentanyl that the police have to later address. Prevention is, preventative, right? We want to be preventative, we don't want to be reactive. So that's what CTC is. It's primary prevention, and it's a way to work within the community, to work with the community. Another thing I want to say is that Mikkel mentioned the organization chart. There were the key leaders, there were the community board, there was the executive board. You are the key leaders. You are key leaders in your communities, in city council, in your neighborhood, on your street, in your church groups. You are the people that your community is looking at for an example and for help. And so this is a way that you can help those individuals in your community. So you would be the key leader role, your support role. It's really not a lot of work for you. It's just, hey, we have this awesome new program. We want it in our community. We want to help our community. And then the boots on the ground, the people that are working, we're talking like PTA moms, retired. We have a retired gentleman on our coalition, and he is one of my favorite people. He sends me at least one email a week about articles he read or thoughts that he had. He's worked in substance use and addiction recovery for years and years and years. He's an awesome resource on our coalition. We have a lot of mental health professionals in Vineyard, so we have quite a heavy mental health influence on our coalition. Kenna is awesome. She's our community bridge between Orem and Vineyard. And so those are the people that form the coalition. And then your CTC coordinator, your prevention coordinator, is the one that kind of keeps track of the grant and the budgets, keeps you guys in the loop, like, hey, the coalition is implementing an after-school club at the middle school this month, and we'll let you know how it goes. And then I would come back and say, hey, our Positive Action Club had 45 kids come this month. It was really awesome. They're doing super great, and kind of just keep you in the know, in the loop that way. So that's my job, and I think it's a really great thing, and I would love to support you and work with you. I don't think I can be the Orem CTC person. We can pay, but you can pay more.
Well, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, let's have a in prayer, and then let's grab some food, but we're gonna have to just like make it really quick, and then we'll come back. We've got a few more things to go over. We have a volunteer for prayer.
Father in heaven, we pause in this time to express our gratitude for this beautiful day, for the opportunity to be together. We're grateful, Father, for this food and these beverages that are provided. We ask you to bless it, help us to be healthy and strong, and pray that we will use that strength to do good, to serve each other. So these things that we need for these blessings in the name of Jesus Christ.
So we'll just grab food really quick, and we'll keep going.
Oh, yeah, I just want to say this.
Sorry, I want to write your lap or not. Sorry. It's like that being on an airplane. I mean, how the pressure.
That's so good. So it gets take a break. Otherwise,
See what's the latest on our library issue.
I can see afterwards.
yeah, sure.
Probably a good idea.
So Bryce, what are we doing with Gina? Gina Brooks, manager.
I'll be able to get about a third of that.
Did you go on the we're rather some kind of superficial, like, that's how much the rest of the record. So I really just.
Yeah, I'm kind of good.
So I mean, it's.
So yeah, see where Gina goes. Who's there? She has a great number two.
She's part-time.
Yes, yeah. She's talking to her, she's like, she's my 25%, maybe it's dollars.
For her person.
So it's so good.
I'm just saying, I just want to make sure. What
And turkey, cheese, bacon.
Exciting, going on our state. He's a senior center. I'm off for that. Yeah, that's, we're excited. I think this is a good talk, really. It's funny how long the trip
Right, I think we're gonna have to start in order to make it happen. So we'll carry on to item number 3. Update on modern income housing report. Jason Bennett.
Right now, I'm the planner for that present this funding. So this is good. We'll explain this August 1st on our deadline.
I will speak, not like a radio speed talker commercial, but I will speak, try to be concise, mindful of the time. If you recall, the state passed some legislation required the city to adopt 5 moderate income housing strategies. On this recent legislative session, we updated that requirements and changed the reporting timeline to August 1st annually. So every year we'll be required to submit this report documenting our progress on the 5 strategies that we adopted earlier this year. If you don't recall, it is in the general plan. It's chapter 4 of our general plan is the housing chapter, and it's under 4.4.42. And those 5 strategies were accessory apartments, affordable senior housing, overlay zone, the HTRZ zone, exclusionary plans, and impact fees. And so in the general plan, we have the implementation requirements, part of that legislation, HB 462, that required us to document or commit to some kind of implementation strategy for those strategies, the 5 strategies. So we're basically preparing that report to submit by August 1st. We cannot be late. There's no late submissions. The DWS has 90 days to review it. Then you will receive a letter of compliance. I'm meeting with the DWS representative this Thursday to review an early draft of a report, as we did last year and subsequently earlier this year before we adopted the strategies, to ensure that we're double checking with them early compliance as we prepare the draft to submit, so we know kind of beforehand. We won't be surprised with the letter of non-compliance. There are some steps that if for whatever reason they did send a letter of non-compliance, we can correct or we can appeal. And so staff's been attending multiple trainings on that, the conferences and DWS trainings, and they actually had a training here at Orem City for all the Utah County cities. So we've already learned some more information. So any specific questions I can address, or I know it's short and sweet, but we can address other questions maybe after. Or
once the report is complete, Mayor, we will send it to our city. It's more information. It doesn't require council approval.
And that your report will show which items you're gonna.
Yeah, we are required to specifically itemize and actions the city has taken, market responses, so if our strategy was, for example, maybe subsequently, once the station area plan is adopted, we would document, hey, how many housing units have been created in the station area. But on this certain strategies, we can say that's not applicable, but we are required to document specific actions the city is taking towards those strategies. And yeah, we will send the report through so that everyone can see it. And one of the part of the legislation this year was to change that report to an administrative report and not required, because it was kind of burdensome for all the cities to fit timing to get those tests pushed through our process. So
This is pretty much just the first step, right?
this is our first report under this new kind of reporting requirement. We're supposed to report on a 12-month progress, but since we've only adopted our strategies in February, we're kind of reporting on a 6 or 7 month progress. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, we got Teresa.
We don't even need 5 minutes. Okay, so I did give, I think all the city council members should have got the schedule that we need to update for the following city council meetings going throughout the rest of the year. And as you probably all know, the elections all got moved. That has made us have to make changes here. So we will need to do the election canvas on September 12th meeting. So I just moved that there. I did have the previous schedule did not have the ULCT conference dates. Those are now on there. I've also updated the primary election date. So you'll have that, which is September 5th. Everything else is the same except for down here, the general election is also now November 21st. And because of that, we are going to have a special meeting December 5th in order to canvass the election. And so I just want to make sure that you guys had a copy of this. If there is a problem with it, let me know, because we will present it August 1st to as a consent item for you guys. So if you have any questions, or if, December 5th was just the date we picked that falls within the canvas time. That's not like the hard date. It's just, I think it's actually the last date we can do it. So we could do it previous, but with Thanksgiving. So
August 1st, that's the council meeting on here?
yeah, so August 1st, then I will put, if you agree to this, I'll put it as a consent item, and you guys will just vote in the next meeting on August 1st, that you're okay with this calendar.
On the national night out, August 1st, we need to make sure we have time to go over there, not at the end, but in the beginning. So we need to carve that out for a meeting.
So are you saying that that's the same night?
Yeah, same night, 5 to 8, and before it's in council, it's 3 to, you're gonna miss it, so we need to make sure we show support.
This is the shoot. So
Yeah, they had moved, I think they'd moved the meeting to August 1st because we thought the primaries were going to be on the 8th. So everything's a little bit off because of what we thought the election's gonna be, and now the elections have been pushed.
So David, you're proposing doing that on a different night?
What?
As far as the city council meeting?
No, I mean, we can take a half hour, 45 minutes to go over there and support, that's all I'm saying.
Okay. So likely after the city council meeting? Is that what you're talking
No, it's 5 to 8, so if we start at 6, and
we'd have the
most of your stuff is 5, maybe 5, in between 5 and 6, 5:30 to 6 or whatever. Or maybe we do it 5 to 6 and we have a pre-meeting 3 to 5.
I could look at changing our pre-meeting so you guys can go over.
Well, pre-meeting, you just do 3 to 5 and we go 5 to 6 and we carry 5:45 until that.
Do they serve
That
food
makes
over there?
They're having
Fast.
hot dog deal. Maybe
I'll pass that. I say,
Sounds good.
so everybody says.
Yeah, so I think we can, we'll probably discuss it in our planning meeting. All right, so I will just prepare this for the consent item.
All right, thank you. All right, we're running out of time. We've got here agenda review, city council report. Doug, would you like to report on your board and commissions?
Yeah, I can go really quickly. Transportation Advisory Commission. We've been meeting with the planning commission. We are in the process of working out a time to meet with them again to go through our transportation master plan. Also working on 400 east and 1600 north, that intersection, and possibilities there. I serve on the neighborhood commission with Renee and with Kenna. We just, as you all know, just expanded that commission to involve more citizens. We have a little more involvement there. They've been doing picnics in the parks and other neighborhood meetings aside from the normal neighborhood commission meetings. Third commission with Dave. That's all wrapped up, put to bed for the year. So great work. Brandon and Trevor were a huge help with that process. I serve on the Utopia board. Just a little update there. Orem has roughly 8,000 subscribers, adding 500, 900 new monthly. They've added the city of West Haven and in talks with other cities as well. And then we talked about this before, the refinance and restructure that we did with the Utopia bonds will save about 8.3 million bonds. So that'll help pay down part of they owe for the city a little faster rate. And then also I serve on the UDU Community Relations Board. We haven't met for a while, but we are having a meeting with some of the groups there in that part of Orem. With Steve Anderson.
Thank you. Thank you for that update. Guess we're going to the agenda. Forward agenda tonight. We'll have item number 3 called to order. Item number 4, revocation, inspirational thought. And you've got.
Yeah, and this is my husband's hat, he's the code master.
Well, this is Jim.
This is Jim, yeah. This is his cute little code hat and they're cute.
Right, so.
Sure.
Okay. Then we've got mayor's report. Item number 6.1.
Mayor, our city treasurer, Kathy Leonard.
So Kathy's gonna do it. This is a recognition of the 311 Help Center.
Yes.
Next, item 6.2, Oremfest 2023. We're going to do a review on that, all right?
That's right. Yeah, it'll be pretty quick, but we're just gonna give you the wrap. Now we have all the numbers and everything's in the books. Just gonna give you a report on how it all went.
Okay, sounds good. Go to item number 7, personal appearances. Item 8, consent items. And it looks like we just have approval of meeting minutes, so it's pretty straight up. Item number 9, schedule items. We've got an ordinance adopting the official Orem flag. People present that to us. And item number 10, communication items. That's nothing we have to go over, that's just for information only. And item number 11, city manager information items. You want to keep it? Good. And then after that, we'll adjourn. Lots of big questions. We'll adjourn to this meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. That's how you do it. Turn them on their head.
Test, test, test.
We'd like to welcome everyone out tonight to our city council meeting and call this meeting to order. We're going to start out with an invocation, inspirational thought from Jim LeRae and his Cub Pack 1776. And Debbie, if you'd like to introduce them.
Yes, I'm excited to have my husband and Rusty Butler's Cub Scout pack. He's the Cub Master. These are the cutest darn kids you've ever seen. They're lions and tigers and including Weston, my grandson. Some of you know him. So we welcome them to come up. I think there's some kind also from the older boys, correct? The troop? You have some 1776. I love their number. I think that's appropriate. So
would you like the pledge first or the prayer first?
looks like the prayers first.
Okay. Our Father in heaven, we'd like to take this time to thank thee for the wonderful freedoms that we enjoy here in this land and here in Orem. And we're thankful for the council and the mayor and the time and efforts that they put into helping our city to have it grow and flourish and be a wonderful place for us to raise our families and to grow and to learn and develop. Father, we pray for thy spirit to be with us here this night, that we can make good decisions and we understand the principles that are being portrayed. And Father, we pray for these things and do so in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so the 1776 Cubs and Scouts, come on up.
If we could have the audience please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Debbie would like to take a picture with the pack here.
One, two, three.
And Jim, do you know how they got the 1776 number?
That's what the organizers.
I just wonder how they got it. That seems like that would be a high demand number.
When you have a new council, predictable behavior, the old numbers have gone, shuffle things around a little bit.
That's in, right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing that for us. Okay, we're going to start out with item number 6 and 6.1. And this is a recognition for the 311 Help Center. And you're coming up for Brandon, right? Okay, if you'd like to come up and present that, that'd be great.
I would like to invite the members of the 311 Help Center so they can be recognized. Mayor and City Council members, Brandon apologizes for not being able to be here in person. If you know Brandon, he can prepare the capper and receive all these awards, and he knows all the general ledger accounts, and he can prepare the budget with his eyes closed. But for some reason, Grandpa didn't keep track of his only grandchild first birthday, which was today. So he really doesn't want to draw the ire of his wife or especially his daughter-in-law at all possible. So he asked me to fill in. He wanted me to relay the following message about the 311 Help Center. It is my pleasure to recognize our 311 Help Center staff at this time. Let me begin by telling you about this amazing group of employees and what they do for the citizens of Orem day in and day out. Let's start at the beginning. A little over 5 years ago, the 311 Help Center was born and placed under the supervision of the city treasurer, Kathy Lera, under the umbrella of the finance department. The group was created by taking the existing utility billing staff and moving a few employees. One employee, Lori, who's now retired, came from development services with the functions of the business license. Then we have Jay Fletcher. He is also retired. He moved from the public safety department with fingerprinting. And one employee, Jennifer, from the city manager's office, and she was a passport expert. So the idea was to bring all the knowledge and expertise to one group where all the citizens can just come to one-stop shop. And the idea is that if we're one person is left in that office, that person should be able to help anyone coming into the office with any questions that they have regarding the services that we offer or just about anything. We even Google for certain citizens that do not have a phone book. The concentration of staff into one place and one group also allowed a greater flexibility in the number of employees who were cross-trained in these functions, which allows the city a greater ability to meet the needs of its citizens at any given time, since the function was no longer reliant on just one or two employees. Today, the 311 Help Center consists of 9 customer service specialists, 1 customer service specialist supervisor, and the city treasurer. And in very, very rare occasions, the finance director, who is missing today. I would like to share with you just a few stats that might not mean a lot to a lot of people, but it will give them an idea of where they spend most of their time. We have entered, in the last 5 years, we have entered 25,655 work orders related to utilities. We have taken 228,616 incoming calls. We have processed 267,386 utility payments. We have taken 107,689 in-person transactions. We have taken 6,764 fingerprints. We have taken 9,223 passport photos. We have executed 16,702 passports. The biggest day was 54 passports in one day, and we have a line that came all the way to the city manager's office. That was an average of 6 passports per hour. So we were busy that day. That's an addition of the daily duties. We have taken 23,601 payments over the phone. We have created 1,700,770 utility bills. We have printed around 35,000 checks. We have sent thousands and thousands of letters to our customers. Of course, we have our business licenses and renewals, the landlord licensing. We reconcile tills every day. We receive all garbage requests. We chat and email with our citizens, and we create tickets and miscellaneous requests from and to all departments in the city. This is just the things that we can track. We do other things. I would like to dedicate this time to the current members of the 311 Help Center, while remembering those that have moved to new positions like human resources or city recorder, and some that have gone to the justice court. Our journey together as a working team has been nothing short of extraordinary, and I'm truly humbled to be part of such an exceptional group. Our collective efforts have enabled us to overcome challenges, achieve remarkable milestones, and reach new heights we once thought impossible. Our willingness to support one another, collaborate, and share knowledge have fostered an environment where creativity flourishes and innovation thrives. In times of uncertainty, you have shown resilience, adaptability, and the willingness to embrace change. As a team, we know well how to describe a day. A good day, a bad day, a busy day, an easy day, and a stressful day, and time to go home. I want to acknowledge each and every one of you for your exceptional contributions, big and small. Whether it's your remarkable achievements, your remarkable support, or your remarkable positivity, each piece of the puzzle you bring contributes to our collective success. So from the bottom of my heart, I extend my deepest gratitude and appreciation to our incredible 311 team. Thank you for your unwavering dedication, your outstanding efforts, and your remarkable spirit. It is an honor to work alongside such talented individuals, and I'm excited for all the amazing things we will achieve together in the future. I want to close by pointing out that the members of this team are so devoted that at the end of a meeting in the month of December, I instructed them to go out there and break a leg. And Jennifer and Wendy did literally break a leg in multiple places. Sherry decided to take it easy and she only got a knee replacement. They are all recovering and we're now more careful about what we instruct them to do. So I'm so proud of this team and I'm thankful for their willingness to serve this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have a picture up here with the city council? Sorry. I'm trying to crop out this. Okay, thanks so much. Thank you. And that was quite the list of accomplishments. I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of transactions by a group of 10 awesome Orem employees. And it just gives you an idea of how our employees, how hard they work here and what they accomplish. I mean, this is 10 out of 450 full-time employees. So there's a lot happening in Orem, and we appreciate everything that you guys are doing to help make that happen.
Can I say something, Mayor?
Sure.
I told them on the way in that I know they're doing a great job when I refer residents who have called me to 311 and those residents don't call me back. So you guys are doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on to item 6.2. And this is a report on Oremfest. And I'm interested to hear this report because I know.
Okay, sorry about that reverb. You're just getting the party started, Oremfest style. We are excited to present to you today. The only thing better than Oremfest coming is Oremfest being done, because it's a huge production that takes dozens and dozens of both staff and volunteers to put on. And I don't know what it was. I've been involved with the Summerfest and Oremfest for 9 years, and there was something extra special about this one. So we just want to go through quickly a few things that happened and some ideas for the future. And I'll turn it over to Karina now, and Ken is with us as well.
Okay, so we're going to be just going over some stats and how Oremfest went as a whole. So we first start out with the Red Rally show, and in that show we had 209 cars in the North Park, which was really cool because then it made it feel even bigger with the 3,000 participants, over 3,000 participants that were there. And then this year we made 2,000 hot dogs, and they were gone within the first 45 minutes with the line management and changing that up. And it was really cool. They were able to get it pretty hot. The summer pool party, we had a DJ there that made it really fun and lively. And then we had the dilly bars and giveaways, and it was just a really good time. And then the next night we had our summer night stream, which we had over 1,000 participants with Sam Payne and his band. We also did get 1,000 ice cream sandwiches that were gone pretty quickly. So, it was a good event. Turn it over. Sorry, that's me again. Oremfest Entertainment. So overall, we are anticipating that we had over 25,000 attendees throughout the entire event. We also had 10 different performance groups. So a couple new ones were like yoga and Zumba in the park, which were really popular, really fun amongst all of the age groups. And then we had Sierra theater group of the teens doing different musical songs, and then we had a Hispanic dance group, the American Rhythm Folk Ensemble, and then our classic Scales and Tales, Scott's Magic Show, Little Miss Orem's Orem Got Talent, and then pie and hot dog eating contest.
Oh, and if you saw that guy eating the hot dog, he was actually just here. He's one of our 3-on-1 employees that was just honored. So not only is he great in 3-on-1, he's great at eating hot dogs too. No, there's only one champ. Sadie Loveland has won the hot dog eating contest, I think 5 years in a row. So she's untouchable. So here's just some stats about what was going on in the park. We had 21 food vendors, 68 boutiques, 114 float entries in the parade, and then 56 sponsors. And I'll let Kenna talk about the sponsorships.
It's on now. We raised a little under, well, about a little over $63,000 in cash. And then we probably had about over $15,000 in in-kind donations. And we had 7 new sponsors this year. I actually had people calling me instead of me calling them. So that was really nice. So.
And 63 is a record, right?
It's yep, a record.
Yep, that's awesome.
Without the big $25,000 donation.
Kenna, can you name a few of those 7 new sponsors?
Surpro was one. The Big Splash Summit, the new swim school was also another one of the new ones. So a lot of new Orem businesses are getting involved. Little Beakers was another one as well. Thanks.
Yeah, so on the Oremfest committee, we're always trying to improve and make it better for the next year. And so just some things we've kind of noticed from this year that we want to focus on for next year. We need to get creative with the parade crowd control. You were in the parade, you saw there were certain points where people were all the way out into the street up until the middle median line. So we've got to work on that. We solicited the citizens and the participants for feedback. So we sent out forms to them. We got only 36 responses, but some really good feedback from the community. We want to talk about Family Day. That's something that in the past has been a pretty big thing for us. And we want to kind of enhance that, enrich that. So it's a really great value for families on that Thursday. We got some stuff to do with our sponsorships to update that. The Clear Ride information. What is that one?
That one was just working together more with the carnival company and just making sure that there's clear expectations about who can ride on what rides and which family members and the height, and just making that really, really clear with the community of, everyone wants to have a good time with the little ones and they want to get on the ride. So just making sure that we have those clear expectations, not just between us and the community, but us with the carnival company as well.
And then just expand the entertainment options and the activities, especially free activities for families, so that they can just come. They don't have to, buy anything. They don't have to ride the rides, but they can come and just have a great time for free. And then, of course, Oremfest could not happen without these wonderful volunteers, including Miro the Mammoth. So the top half is all of our volunteers, and the bottom half is all the staff that are kind of primarily involved. But even beyond the people that are pictured here, the police and fire pretty much dedicate their entire, week to making sure that everything's safe and good. And so we appreciate both the community support and the staff support, and of course the council support. Thank you for everything that you've supported us in and putting Oremfest together with the name change and with just making it the event that everybody looks forward to. I know people come all the way from Hawaii just to come to Oremfest. So we really appreciate it. And any comments, questions that we can answer for you?
Debbie. First of all, that is my council assignment to be on Oremfest, and I'm sad that I'm leaving the council, but I want you to know I've appreciated the hard work. I think every event I attended every day, but Thursday I was too tired. But every event I went to was well done. People enjoyed it. They were happy. Free food is always a great incentive, but kudos to all of you. And Karina, thank you for all that you did. And Pete, and of course with Kenna raising the money. I mean, we just cannot do this great event. And I feel like it's getting better. It's always been really good, but I think every year it gets just a little bit better. So thank you very much. And I'll miss working with you guys.
Anybody else have any questions? Well, I'll just leave it that you guys, yeah, you did a phenomenal job this year, and Oremfest was amazing. And Karina is a great new addition to the team, our event planner. So anyway, I thought it was awesome. I'm looking forward to next year, and great job.
I do have one question. With the car show and the storytelling getting switched days, did you think that was a problem, was good, it didn't matter? What do you think about the?
I think it was good. It was a lot of work that weekend before because we had the VIP dinner on the Friday and then we had the big event, but we got the biggest event over with. So we didn't have to go back to the bigger event on Wednesday. So I think it went really well. And I think people enjoyed it on the Monday.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for all that you do. Okay, next up, item number 7. We got a fairly light meeting tonight. Personal appearances. There's 2 people who signed up. And first on the list, I've got Andrew Jackson.
I'm Andrew Jackson. I live in Northeast Orem, Honorable Mayor and Council. I came before you a couple of weeks ago about a retaining wall and easements. I stated that it was my understanding that Orem City didn't have a section of code dealing with the improvements in the easement, but that it was going to be regulated by state code. I was in error, and Mr. Bench was very kind to direct me to the appropriate section of the city code. And I just want to say that everyone from Mr. Bybee, who I've known for many years, Mr. Clark, Mr. Bench, the whole planning and zoning staff, as well as the building department plans checkers and inspectors, have been just super to work with and very helpful in suggesting various options for success through the permitting process. And just want to let you know you have great staff, and thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we've got Jim LeRae.
Mr. Jackson, thank you so much for coming back, because that is rare for citizens to come back and say, you guys are doing it okay, I was wrong. So you're awesome. Thank you for your integrity.
Yeah, and the Oremfest thing, I appreciated that. Our PAC was there. We had set up a Pinewood Derby track at the car show. So it was a lot of fun. Good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff, and guests. Many of you have asked me what's happened to scouting. Some have said, I didn't think there was scouting anymore. Since one of the tenets of scouting is development of community of citizenship, I thought it appropriate to take some time to let you know what is happening with scouting here in Orem. In Orem, we currently have 2 Cub packs and 4 scout troops. 3 troops are for boys and 1 troop is for girls. Cub packs are family packs servicing both boys and girls. Yes, scouting now serves both boys and girls. I'm the Cub Master of Pack 1776. We are sponsored by the Arches Academy, a private school across from Orem High School. We meet on Wednesday evenings. We associate with Troop 1776B, a boys troop, and Troop 1776G, a girls troop, also sponsored by the Arches Academy. PAC 2019 meets Tuesday evenings and is sponsored by Nupi Enterprises. Troop 2020B, sponsored by the Artist Corner, and Troop 9 is sponsored by the American Legion. Our PAC will be attending Cub Scout Day Camp this Thursday at Camp Mapledale in Payson Canyon. Other elementary school age children will also be attending day camp with us. Many of the Scouting BSA camps that you're familiar with are available to any youth organization and family groups. Scouting BSA operates 15 camp facilities offering programs for youth. Last year, over 30,000 youth were served at these camps. Units in Orem are part of the Timpanogos District, which covers northern Utah County, Heber, Duchesne, Roosevelt, and Vernal. We are part of the Crossroads of the West Council. Scouts have a fundraiser similar to Girl Scout cookies, but it's popcorn. Boys and girls will be selling popcorn in the fall to raise money for camp fees during the year. Yes, there are still Friends of Scouting also. You can learn more about scouting and units here in Orem by visiting the council website at utahscouts.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. All right, we'll move on to item number 8, consent items. Again, short agenda. We've just got one item on the consent items tonight, and that's approval of meeting minutes. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I would make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes of June 27th, 2023.
Second. Aye.
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 The consent items are approved. Next up, we've got scheduled items, item number 9. And I don't know if I should even speak to this. I should probably let Lene talk about this. Item 9.1, adopting an official Orem flag.
Are we too?
Sure.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say thanks to Brooks Advertising. I don't know if they're here. I don't see them here, but anyway, our thanks go out to them. When they presented the different options for our new flag design in our work meeting, I immediately gravitated towards this white design. It really struck me as an emblem of just opulence and positivity. I felt like it was a symbol of unity as it showcases our beautiful and majestic mountains, our impressive sunsets, and then that squiggle down at the bottom represents our beautiful lake vistas that we have here in Orem. And it also really celebrates our families in all their forms, and clearly where it clearly states on the bottom our motto of Family City USA. So I feel like this is so unifying and inclusive and just representative of the beauty of our valley. So well done again to Brooks for your creativity and for your inspiration. And next time I see you, I'll shake your hand.
Thank you. Pete, would you like to?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is once the vote is taken, if it's successful, we'll order the flags from Colonial Flag in Sandy, and it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to get the custom flags done, and then you'll start seeing them in city properties.
I'd like to make a motion then, Mayor.
Yes.
Can I do that, or were you going to say something?
No, I think you've covered it.
Okay, so let's see. I move that we approve the ordinance of adopting our official new Orem flag.
Second.
Aye.
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 The ordinance passes, and we have a new flag. Thank you. Yep.
It's a beautiful.
That's a great flag. Lastly, item number 11, city manager information items. Brent?
Yes, just a few updates on some things that have come up recently. So one, I believe you've seen that we've engaged in this employee feedback survey with all of our employees. I'm happy to note that we have reached an 88% response rate so far. And so we have about another 6 days until the 17th to reach or exceed our 90% response rate goal.
Is that our target, 90 or 92?
Our goal was 90%.
90, okay.
Yeah, so we're 2% below last I heard. So we'll get there. So this is, I guess, encouragement to our staff to keep going. We've also begun, and this was an item that came up when our budget was passed. So just let you know, we have begun the efficiency study and have started to kick that off and provide information to the very reputable consultant, MGT, that has a lot of experience in doing these kinds of efficiency and optimization studies for local governments. So you and our staff will see more information in regards to that over the coming weeks. Last thing is I know you love to celebrate our staff, and I love to join with you in that effort. We received some really just fun, interesting kudos this week from the Cardiac Arrest Registry to Enhance Survival Group. So CARES is the acronym. And they let us, they do benchmarks on essentially paramedic emergency response. And they let us know that our Orem Fire Department beat both national and state averages in successful resuscitations. So pretty impressive achievement by our fire department. So just wanted to make you aware of those things. Please.
Don't give him another.
No, we don't want to have a chat.
You scare him to death.
So Mayor, I think, Mark Sanderson should take credit for that too, as he is the director, or he runs that department. And I think you should let your men and women know that we appreciate all you do. So you're awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's pretty amazing. I mean, you hear stories like that. Well, I met somebody a couple of weeks ago that just came up to me out of the blue, and he had a widowmaker heart attack, and he should be dead, but it was because of the Orem Fire Department. He's not, and that was taken care of instantly, and then he was to the hospital instantly. Otherwise, he wouldn't have survived. So it's amazing what you guys are doing. Yep. I do want to say also to these studies that Bren's mentioning. So as a city council, we want Orem to have the happiest employees around, and we want to have Orem to have the best employees around. And so these two studies that we're doing, the one study is just to understand where the employees are at, how they like their jobs, how they like their leadership, just if they're happy with the way things are going in Orem. And that study is going to be really interesting to see the results of. And then this other study that we're doing, this management study, where we're looking at just our processes and how everything is put together and how everything works, but doing a real deep dive on it. From what I know, if I'm right, I don't think any other city in the state has done that. As far as when we were researching it, we didn't find anyone that had gone to the depth that we're going to. So this is a very serious study. So
as far as I know, that's true.
Yeah, and this is under Bren's leadership. We're doing a deep dive, and I think there will be a lot of really good information come out. So we're doing our best to bring the best we can.
And I think we have a consultant that has experience in doing these in the public sector and approaches it in a spirit of, celebrating the successes and things you do well, but also finding ways that where we can continuously improve and do better. And yeah, knowing our phenomenal employee staff, by and large, very often have that same attitude of constantly wanting to do better. And I think they too enjoy and appreciate that we celebrate their successes as well along the way.
Thank you. All right, this is getting close to a record. Any other comments, questions tonight?
Mayor, I just think maybe we need to also add the police, and BJ, you can, let Josh Adams know and your men and women that we appreciate all you do too also.
All right, well, thank you. And with that, can we have a motion to adjourn?
It is. Make a motion to close city council.
I'll second that.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
This meeting's adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Tom's our adjourned guy.
Yeah, he's as fidgetiest guy I've ever met.